Damon here, and welcome back to your next tutorial on HTML. Now, I have to apologize for the last video. My text was kind of small and you couldn't really see it unless you had it in full screen, and even when it was in full screen you still kind of had to look closely, but now I've increased the text size so you can actually see what I'm doing, and hopefully that helps a little. So today what we're going to do is we are going to add the stuff that goes into the body. Okay, the first thing you see on a website is the top of the page, obviously, and that would be called a header to most people. So in regular HTML, before HTML5, there was no specific thing to do to make a header. You just probably made like a div called header and then put your content in that div, and you're probably wondering like, what the hell is a freaking div? And don't worry about that, I'll get to that later. But now with HTML5 they added a few tags, and so you don't have to do that anymore. All you can write is header, and there you go. This is your header section. It's as easy as that. So in this you'd have like a logo and the title of your site, pretty much. That's all you'd have in a header. So to add an image, so like a logo, you would do an open caret img for image, and then if you see Sublime Text Editor has image already there for you, so all you have to do is press enter. And it really doesn't do much. It just gives you the source and the equals and the quotation marks, which is pretty freaking easy. So without pressing enter, you'd have to press src for source equals quotation marks, and then in between the quotation marks you'd put the source. And the source could either be the name of the picture as in a file, like it could be like picture.jpg, something like that. But it can also be a URL, and to get a URL of a picture you can just go online. You can search like, I don't know, dog, center, go to images. Let's just choose this first one, and then you would right click, copy image URL, go back to your source and paste it. And that's how you add an image, guys. And an image doesn't need a close tag. It's a self-closing tag, so all you really need is the end caret. So yeah, that could be like your logo. It doesn't have to be a picture. But you can also add like your heading, which would be an H tag with a number following it from 1 to 6. 1 being the biggest and most important, and 6 being the least important. And so we'll do an H1 and say, welcome to our badass site. And then if you go ahead and save this, by the way, just for the sake of, I didn't show you before, you would go to File, Save As, and then you would name it index or whatever you want, followed by HTML. Then you just click that, and by the way, you'd put this in a new folder. It doesn't matter what your folder's called or where it is either, but you'd put it in a new folder. Mine's in the tutorial folder on the desktop, and I named it index.html, and then press save. Yes, I'll replace it. And then there you go, you have that. And then you go to your browser, press Control O, go to where my file is. There it is, tutorial, index. And as you can see, this image is gigantic. Like, You probably don't want to put an image that's that size, but you can actually resize images, and I'll tell you how to do that in a different tutorial. But as you see, you have your image, and then you have your welcome to our badass site. Now, go back to our editor. Let's just take out the image for now, just for the sake of saving space, since it's so gigantic. But as you can see, it actually looks for the source online and puts the image on. So a header is all that is. Your next tag would be your navigation tag, which is just going to be nav. And what goes in between this is your navigation menu, so it'll be like home, contact us, about us, just all the kind of menus you want, or the menu items that you want. And we won't go into making the menu right now. I'm just going to tell you about the different tags there is, but yeah, that's where your nav menu would go. And before these tags, there was not a tag for each specific thing. All these tags really do is tell Google or any search engine you're using or browser that this stuff is going to be part of a header. So it's not the main part of the page. And then anything between the nav, it would say, okay, Google, this is all the navigation stuff, and so on and so forth. That's the only thing these tags are really for. And it makes it so you don't have to make a div tag necessarily. Which div tags are still handy, so they don't come out of the picture really completely. So that's where your nav would go. And then the main section of your website is the section tag. And the section tag is where all your main content goes. You can put a video, you can put an article, you can put all this kind of stuff. And there's also a tag that can go inside the section called article. And it's pretty much self-explanatory. It doesn't have to be an article necessarily. Like, it doesn't have to be a news article. It can be any kind of information. In fact, it could just be like random paragraphs, pictures. It could be videos. It could be anything. It's just a subsection to the actual section, just to really separate it out from other things. So if you wanted like a paragraph, but then you wanted a paragraph that was separate from the others, you'd put it in like an article tag. It will also make it a little bit more important than the other paragraphs. Anyways, after the section tag, there's two more tags. There's an aside tag, and this is pretty much when you want to make a sidebar. Like, you can have a Twitter feed on one side, you can have another navigation type thing on the other side. You'd put it in an aside tab because it tells Google, okay, this is just side information. You don't necessarily need to have this in your search engine results, but it's going to be part of the website and it's going to be put to the side as like a Twitter feed or something like that. And so, yeah, you would just put anything you'd want on the side that's not really part of the main information on an aside tag. And so, yeah, that's what that does. And then the last tag is, of course, the footer. Footer tag is the opposite of the header. It goes at the bottom of your page, and this usually has your copyright. So I'll just go ahead and write copyright. Copyright badass site 2014. Anyways, that would be a copyright, and a lot of other stuff could go down there, like links to businesses, links to your terms of service, links to your Facebook profiles or Twitter or whatever. You can do a bunch of stuff in the footer, but the main function for a footer is putting your copyright stuff. But that is it for the structure of a simple HTML website. So you got your header tag, your navigation menu, your main section with an article in it. You have a sidebar and a footer. So you got all you need. So if you go ahead and save this, you're not going to really see anything different. Let me just put something in each of these, just blah, 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 just so you can see the difference between each. I'll even add something right here. blah 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 blah. And let's go ahead and save and refresh. Alright, so you got your header, you got your section. Okay, I really shouldn't have put the same thing for everything, because you can't really differentiate between the things, but this is the section. This is the header, the nav menu, the section, the sidebar, and the footer. So really you're like, okay, well they look no different. Well, really, those headers don't do a damn thing when it doesn't do a damn thing to appearance, really. They're just to let you know what part of your website each thing is. And so when we start getting into CSS, which is soon, you'll start seeing these things be separated about. And anyways, that's the end of this tutorial. If you liked this video, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe if you learned anything and if you want to learn more. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.